All right. Well, thank you so much for having me today. I see that we have Antonia and Ignacia and Claudia. So welcome, and yeah, I'll just get started. My name is Jackson Moore, and I'm the Assistant Director of International Admissions at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago. So I am your counselor. I'm going to start. Oh, shoot, that's what it is. All right, getting my system acquainted. I'm going to start with just talking about the city of Chicago and SAIC. I'll talk about what makes SAIC unique, and then I will also talk about the portfolio and what we're looking for in a portfolio, what other schools might be looking for in a portfolio, and how to make a strong one. So first, going to talk about Chicago. If anyone has been there, then you know how wonderful it is. If you haven't, I love Chicago. I moved here about 5 years ago, and I finally feel like I found my home, somewhere that I feel comfortable and welcome. Chicago is kind of in the central United States. We're located in what's called the Midwest. We are also located on a very large body of water, Lake Michigan. Lake Michigan is the fifth largest lake in the world, and it's where we spend a lot of time during the summer. So you can see from this photo that we are kind of downtown Chicago. We're in what's called the Loop. It's where our L train or subway cars loop around the downtown. So it's extremely convenient to get to. You'll see a glowing cube kind of in the middle left-hand side. And that is our modern wing. That is where we house our modern art, our contemporary art, prints and drawings, architecture, things like that. You'll see a darker, I don't know if you can see my arrow, but you'll see a darker cube building right behind it to the right. That is the Art Institute of Chicago. We are connected with the Art Institute of Chicago. In fact, the Art Institute was started by the school as a place for our students to really understand and research the masters. You'll also see this on the left-hand side, another kind of bluish building from the light, and that is where we house our painting department, photography, print media, sculpture, ceramics, and performance. So you can actually walk through the Art Institute to get to your classes. Imagine walking past a Van Gogh on your way to your painting class. Like, oops, that was all the way at the bottom. That would be so inspirational, right? So here is the outside of the Art Institute. The building looks exactly the same as it did when this photo was taken. However, the cars, they're a little bit faster and the streets are paved, so that's nice. Here's the modern wing that I talked about. This is the building that you would walk through to get to your classes. And we are, the school is within basically a 6-block radius of those buildings. So it's quite small, but we are, like I said, located right downtown Chicago. Downtown Chicago is where all of the, let me go back to that slide, where all of the other like businessmen are and the tourists are. You see in the bottom like right-hand corner, that's the Pritzker Pavilion. That is where you can go see live music at night during the summers. It's a lot of fun. Chicago is also great because we are the second largest college student population outside of Cambridge, Massachusetts, and Boston. So we have over 100,000 college kids running around Chicago. So it's a very youthful city. If you like music, it is a wonderful place to be. If you like food, we were just voted, I think it was Bon Appetit that just voted us the top food city in the United States. So moving on to the Art Institute, the school side. The main thing that I want you to know, besides our connection with the Art Institute of Chicago, is our interdisciplinary education. What I mean by that is that we don't have majors. We're totally interdisciplinary. We want our students to work across multiple mediums. We'd like you to explore all of your options with making. So let's say you are a painter, but you are interested in checking out film, animation, or even painting and drawing, or photography or print media. You can try all of those. Some students will decide to just stick with one department and work through that, and that is great too. We are a liberal arts-based curriculum, and we do believe that meaning and making go hand in hand. So what you're learning in your social science courses, your physical science courses, your math courses, your humanities courses, your history courses, all of those will, ultimately, kind of help you discover new things in your studio practice as well. We are a critique-based assessment. What this means is that, communicating about art, talking about your own work, defending your own work, asking insightful questions about your peers' work, this is important. So we take critique and discussion very seriously. We actually don't have grades at SAIC. I know it's weird. We don't have majors, we don't have grades. What kind of school is this? But we are a very rigorous school, and we chose to get rid of the grades and have a no credit system so that our students are free to explore new ideas and try new things and experiment and to fail sometimes. We learn from those failures. We're afraid that if the student is always worried about getting that A or that 100% of that top mark, that they won't push themselves, that they won't try new things. And that is, that's detrimental to the art making. So that is why we have a no credit system, and it's critique-based system. So you'll have a lot of one-on-one interaction with your faculty, and that if they see that you're pushing, if they see that you're trying and working extremely hard, then that's how you get the credit for the course. We are a faculty-driven curriculum. All of our faculty are artists and designers working in the art world, or educators, or writers. So we give and they're at the top of their game. They're like really fantastic people, really wonderful artists. So we give them a lot of leeway in their curriculum development. That means that, let's say in your first year, you're taking a beginning painting class. Well, depending on what the teacher wants to teach, it might be a more traditional painting course, or it might be a very experimental painting course. So through our advisors, they will help you choose the faculty and also the classes that you need to get the skills that you want to get your ideas across. We are an immersive studio classroom. What that means is that, we want you to have time to, really focus on the making and also the communication with your faculty members. So our studio courses are actually 6 hours in length. Of course, you have, a break for lunch, and you will have, a few other breaks in between. But this gives you ample time to, set up your materials, play around with those materials, explore and make, and then have time to clean up as well. I went to a school that had my art classes were twice a week, 1.5 hours each time. That does not give you enough time to create anything. So we really want you to be able to immerse yourself. And once you leave college, you will be a working artist, and we want you to be comfortable with working for, long periods of time for at an actual job, because that will be your job. Most of our students will get a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Studio. However, if you're interested in writing, maybe poetry or fiction or playwriting, you can choose to do that with a BFA with an emphasis in writing. You can also get a BFA with an emphasis in art education if you want to become a teacher. If you want to get a BA in art history or a BA in visual critical studies, we also have those. So if you think about it, the BFA is more studio time. It is more about making. BA would be on the academic side. So still some studio time, but less. Some of our students will choose to get a dual degree between a BFA in studio and also a BA in art history or visual critical studies. For the first year experience, a lot of students are curious, what is that first year experience going to be like? So how we have it set up to prepare you for your 4 years at SAIC. We have a core studio practice that everyone takes. It's a really good general course that teaches you about 2D, 3D, 4D. You might work in painting as well as sculpture, as well as performance. Who knows? It does depend on the faculty. It is an amazing course. It kind of gives you and shows you all the resources that you have at your fingertips here at SAIC. You will take a research studio class as well. That is also a making course, but it is also a kind of a preparatory course for your time as a working artist. So it is going to help you learn how to research those big ideas. So think Core Studio is more about techniques, and Research Studio is more about conceptual. And SAIC is a very conceptual school. We like those big ideas, and we want you to be able to learn how to research those and explore them to the best of your ability. So during that class, a lot of times the faculty will take you to museums, to galleries, things like that. During your studio elective, that you get to choose. That could be across any one of our 18 departments. It's whatever it is that you're passionate about. Maybe it'll be what you're already working on now. So if you're already interested in photography, you might want to continue that practice. Or maybe you want to try something completely different and you want to work in visual communication design or in architecture. It is up to you. First year seminar, everyone has to take a first year seminar course unless you need to take an English for international students, and I'll get to that a little bit later. But it's an English course. They're a lot of fun. There are some courses on Prince, the musician. There are some courses on zombies. There are other courses on Chicago writers. It's pretty varied. So I'm sure that we'd be able to find something. And then, of course, you'll have to take art history. Art history is so valuable as an artist. It's important to know where we came from as artists, what our history is. So this is a collection of all of the departments and area of studies that we have. And we say departments and area of studies because maybe you're interested in class, race, and ethnicity. We don't have a specific department for that, but there will be classes on those subject matters, maybe in the performance department, as well as maybe in the painting department or in the film department. So we want you to be able to pick and choose your curriculum, pick and choose which courses you want to take. So we have all of these options for you. And like I said, it's not, you're not going to throw a dart and hope you get the right class that you want. We do have amazing advisors that will participate in some of your classes and some of your critiques. They'll have a lot of one-on-one communication with you, so they'll really know what your goals are here at SAIC. So our faculty, like I said, they're all really amazing. This is one faculty member that I love. He works in the fashion department. You might not have guessed that, as looks like he's creating these very large sculptures, which he is. He is kind of the epitome of what SAIC is about, interdisciplinarity. He works in fashion, but also sculpture and also performance. If we had a video, and actually Google this later on, Google Nick Cave artist, otherwise you'll get an Australian musician who's also really amazing. But Nick Cave the artist, watch some of his videos, his performances. They are awesome. I highly recommend it. He makes these things called sound suits, and they move to music. He has performers in them. They're absolutely beautiful. So he's extremely well known, not just in the fashion community, but also the art community. He's had a solo show at the Louvre. He's been in Elle, Harper's Bazaar, and Vogue. So he's doing very well, but he still loves teaching at SAIC. So we have a lot of opportunities at SAIC. One of the most important that I think is the internship program. This department, the Career and Professional Experience Department, they can help you find internships. They can help you find jobs on campus. And then when you graduate, they can help you find jobs after you graduate. They also have really great workshops on how to build a resume, how to build a CV, also on how to write grant proposals. So they are there to help you get a job. They're fantastic. Plus they have a really great view of the lake. This is some of the internships that we offer. We actually work with over 2,000 companies. We're the oldest and largest internship program of any art design school in the United States. So we have a lot of connections out there, and these are just a few. If there is a company that you would like to work with that we don't have a connection with, you can contact the CapEx department and they can help build that bridge for you. Most of our students, or many of our students, will participate in the internships. I would suggest all of our students participate in the internships because they are extremely valuable. They help you get your foot in the door. They also help you decide if you actually want to go into that profession. Let's say you are interested in fashion design and you do an internship at Coach and realize that you hate it, then you might want to try something else. Anyway, you can either do an internship in Chicago during the school year, or if you want to do an internship in, say, New York, Los Angeles, maybe go to Chile, that would be during the summertime. Another opportunity that we have is our gallery spaces. We have a very large amount of gallery spaces for both students and faculty and visiting shows. This is the Sullivan Gallery. It's actually 3,000 square meters in size. So it is the largest gallery space in downtown Chicago. And that is where a lot of our students will show their work at their end of year BFA show. It is beautiful, it's stunning, and a lot of, not just friends and family and parents, but a lot of gallery owners also come to visit that show too. We have, if you're interested in curation or wanting to work in a gallery setting, we have a really wonderful student-run gallery system that curates a lot of shows on campus. So I highly recommend you get in touch with them when you get on campus. And where would you live if you lived here on campus? This is an image of one of our residence halls. They're beautiful. They're nicer than most apartments I've lived in. They are like a studio apartment. You can move the furniture around. There's actually a loft space, so you can put above, a bed above and have a little more working space. You would have generally 1 or 2 roommates depending on what you choose and how much you want to pay. But you do have your own private kitchen and your own private bathroom. So you don't get that in every dorm. And the light that you get, I mean, it's pretty stunning. I wish sometimes I would live there. And I don't know your ages or what grades you're in, but early college program, if you have another summer before you graduate, so if you're in grade 10 or 11, going into 10 or 11, you would be interested in early college program. It is a 2 or 4 week summer session that you can participate in. You could get college credit for it, and that will be transferable to any college that you choose. So whether or not you come to SAIC or whether you go to, like, let's say, University of Iowa or something like that, you can you can shift those credits to there. So you get 3 credits, which is great. It's like 1 class out of the way. We also have merit scholarships available. So if you're interested in that, you can email me later and I can connect you with the people that are in charge of ECP. Oh, okay. So most of you are to start in the fall. So this is not for you. But, good to know for siblings who are younger than you or friends. Okay, so application requirements. Now we're getting to the nitty-gritty, the good stuff. Hope you got a pen and paper handy, but you really don't need one because it's all on the internet. And I'm happy to email all of this information to you. So we do use the Common App, which will help out with your multiple applications that you'll be submitting. We do need 1 test score. This is either TOEFL, IELTS, SAT, or ACT. That is entirely up to you. We don't need more than 1. So I just recommend taking the one that's easiest. We will need your high school transcripts and 1 letter of recommendation, either from a counselor or from a teacher, whoever likes you best. And then the most important, which I'll be talking about in further detail, is the portfolio and the artist statement. The artist statement should really talk about what it is that you're putting in the portfolio. It's not a biography. So, it's only 500 words. So really just focus on why you're making that work, what inspired you to make that work, that sort of thing. The portfolio, we need 10 to 15 images. I will explain the portfolio for sure. It's after this slide. We'll get into the portfolio. But we will need 10 to 15 images or up to 10 minutes of time-based work, meaning, film, performance, things like that. So let's get to the actual portfolio. Oh, before I move on to that, I do mean 10 to 15 images. You won't get bonus points if you put 15 in. You won't get less points if you put 10, because we really want a cohesive body of work, very strong body of work. So let's talk about what you can put in your portfolio. So observational works, absolutely. If you are an observational painter, put those in, but we don't need them. If you're not an observational painter, if you're working in fashion, just put those in. You don't have to show us everything that you can do. It can be media focused. This is how to, create a cohesive body of work. So let's say you are an observational painter. Go ahead and put all observational pieces in. Let's say you're a media focused painter. Let's say you're experimental. You can absolutely do an experimental portfolio. Basically what we want to see is what you're passionate about and who you are as an artist. You can do multiples or series to try and make it more cohesive, but maybe, that doesn't work with your style, so you don't have to do it. It can be thematic and concentrated if you want, but it doesn't necessarily need to be. It can, you can show a variety or breadth. So that was really confusing, right? I just told you everything that you can do, and it's basically, everything. And that is overwhelming, I'm sure. But I'll get to that a little bit further. Basically, what I want you to know is that there is no one way to create a portfolio. The portfolio should be as unique as you are. We don't need to see everything that you can do. We don't need to see that you can do graphic design and also photography and also drawing and also sculpture. Some schools will absolutely want that, but we're not that school. What we want to see is who you are and a cohesive body of work. Whether or not you decide that to make it cohesive, it should be a series, that's up to you. Or let's say you just want to show, portraits in photography. You can do that too. We just want to see creativity. I'm going to move on to the next, and I know that it's a little confusing, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you put up there. So arrangement. One thing that you should think about is tailor the portfolio for different submissions. Like I said, some schools will want a variety, but SAIC is not that school. So what you're going to send to RISD will be probably a little bit different than SAIC. So make sure you contact the counselors like me at any time and ask specifically what it is that we want. Or if you have a portfolio that you want to share with us, you can email me your portfolio and I'm happy to review it. I'll be giving you my email address at the end of the presentation. So once you have decided, like, you have all of your paintings out, one thing I would recommend is starting to edit. Take out things that don't quite fit. So let's say you have all paintings they're all portraits, but you have a couple of, sculptures out of found object art. Maybe they're really amazing, but maybe you want to take those out because they don't quite fit. That's something to think about. And then once you have your 10 to 15 images selected, you want to think about the order. I recommend starting with the strongest piece, your favorite piece. Okay, I will get to that. And oh yeah, I'm sorry, Ignatia just asked a question, where do we have to submit the portfolio if we apply? That will be through SlideRoom, which you will have a link through Common App. And if you would like to email me them, that would just be an unofficial application or unofficial submission. That would just be if you want feedback. Hopefully that makes sense. Anyway, let me get back to the portfolio. So you want to have that strong sense of order. And beginning with the best one. So pick out your best one, and then which one goes next? Maybe it's based on color. Maybe it's based on composition. Which one matches? I guess you could say that. Which one is the one that goes best with that. And then hopefully you'll do that with every single piece. So at the end, you have a very well curated show on your slide room portfolio that really shows us what it is that you're interested in and your strongest work. For each slide, you can put multiple images on one slide. However, I really recommend keeping it to a minimum, maybe 1, 2, or 3 images per slide. More than that gets really confusing and really hard for the reviewers to see. Titles are an important way or a helpful way to give context and description to your pieces. So instead of writing a full description out for each image, you'll just, put a title in that really gives us an understanding of what that piece is about. The artist statement is the place where you should talk about the entire description. Talk about the entire portfolio as a whole versus as individual. Of course, less is more. So there's a couple of things that I would like you to not do, and I would say that this probably goes for every school. Don't put text on your slide unless it is a text-driven art piece. We can't really see the text, like if it's a description, don't put that on the slide. There is a description box next to each image in slide room. Again, only put 1, 2, or 3 images per slide. Don't put more than that. Otherwise, it gets a little muddled and it's hard to see. Keep it clean. Again, less is more. So that was a lot of information. I hope it made some sense, but I want to go through just a few more ideas just to kind of round it all together. I had mentioned a cohesive body of work, and again, it's important to have a cohesive body of work. Cohesive can mean a lot of different things, though. It can mean, that you are a painter and you're just showing us paintings, or it can mean that you're a photographer and you're just showing us photographs, or it can mean that you did choose to do a series, so it's all about a big idea, or even a small idea. Like I've seen really strong portfolios just based on material and exploration of material. I'll actually show you a couple in a minute. So a cohesive body of work, it can be a variety of things. One thing, students that have like a breadth portfolio, one that has like shows us every kind of material that they know how to use. Some students are maybe a little curious on how they can make it cohesive. Oftentimes, since only one artist is making the work, it is a cohesive body of work because it's it's just you that's making it. So don't get too concerned about that. I have a feeling it's probably more cohesive than you think. Just make sure it's well edited and well curated. I do want you to take risks with material, process, and ideas. This is important. We're a risk-taking we're a risk-taking school, so push yourself. Try new things. You have a few months left before you're going to submit the application portfolio. So if you are working in sculpture, maybe try a new way of thinking about 3 dimensions. What if you are, starting to use found objects instead of just clay or something like that? Or if you are a painter and you're using the same, 6 brushes over and over and over again, maybe you need to break out and get big or get really tiny. Think about that. Take risks. And again, I'm going to reiterate this. I've said this like 4 times, but it is really important. You don't need to show us everything that you can do. Just show us what you're really passionate about. And then for the artist statement, I think that this is a good saying for it. Answer these questions in the artist statement and it'll be a really good artist statement. What am I saying? How am I saying it? And why? Why are you making this work? What does it have to say? Is it about you're really interested in line quality and you're playing around with different line shapes and widths and patterns and all the ways that you can use line? Maybe that's what your artist statement's about. Or how are you saying it? What materials are you using? Or, are you a performance artist, or even like wanting to be a performance artist? Talk about that in your artist statement. So I'm going to show you three different portfolios. Hopefully this will help clear it up, because I know that it is a lot of information and portfolios can be really confusing. So Ava Barrett, what you're going to see here is it's a very large scale drawing made from burnt wood. And you can see the it's just a portrait, nothing crazy, nothing wild, but that exploration of using the burnt wood as the medium to write is really interesting. This is part of a series too, so I'm going to show you the three pieces that go in this series. First we have this portrait, and then we have this portrait, which is slightly shocking, a little bit different, the wood is no longer in that perfect square. It's burnt from the edges. She's screaming. I mean, that's pretty powerful. And then the third piece is this pile of burnt wood. That series goes together. And I mean, it's a pretty powerful piece, how, emotions can take over, and it's interesting, you wouldn't, if we just saw this piece, just this pile of burnt wood, maybe we'd question it. Maybe we'd want to know, what is this about? But with those other two pieces, it tells a complete and perfect story, right? Her next piece, she's still exploring material. She's still using portraiture for it. So, I mean, it's really interesting, this different way of creating a portrait. But she has all of these candles. This is also quite large. All of these candles in the left piece that she hasn't burnt, hasn't like lit on fire. And then the second piece on the right, same candles that she lit and then let it melt, just playing with material. It's quite beautiful. It would have been fun to have seen the lighting happen, though. I don't know. I think that would have been enjoyable. And then she gets away from portraiture altogether. And this piece, she, starting with something, and then now she's moving on to just materials. So, however the transition is that you follow as you are making your art, it's valid and it's really interesting. So she got rid of portraiture and now she's just working with materials. This is a grapefruit that she took apart and then organized. And then she starts to peel apart cardboard containers and starts to organize those. I mean, again, it's just a material exploration. And this one I really love. This is actually an umbrella that she has taken apart and put in clay and then let water hit it. And so it's starting to like rust, and then she organizes those pieces. So she takes this very useful object, such as an umbrella, and then completely tears it apart. And then it's actually being destroyed by what it's supposed to protect us from, the rain, which I think is fascinating. So each of one of those little pieces is just one part of the umbrella. I just love her organization and how she is starting to, just take apart things and then, just displaying them and organizing them in these really beautiful ways. This is a door that is, I'm glad, this is a door lock. So, something that's supposed to keep you protected and keep you in, it's now like in all these little tiny pieces, and it has like no more use for what it was originally for. But it's just absolutely gorgeous. And the way she documented her pieces are very good. So documentation is important. Lighting, editing, cropping, making it a really good image. This one is a chair that she took apart. So this one's quite large. And then this one, I love this piece. This is obviously, banisters from a staircase that she took apart, and then she broke each of the banisters, but then she reconnected them using resin, kind of like captured this fracture of wood. It's a very stunning piece. The next artist is quite different. She is a painter, so you'll see mostly just painting and drawing in this. And I like this portfolio because it does take something that all of us have access to, self-portraits. You know, we're in a selfie society now, and she uses the self-portrait, but she also uses portraits of her friends and people that she knows. But it's taking it into a different way. Like we've all seen the portraits that are just of like, you know, like this. Do you see me over there? Just like, um, but instead of just that simple pose, she's putting a narrative to it. So she has this really beautiful piece. I mean, this one's just simple, you know, just the artist kind of waiting, resting. I love this portrait. The way she uses the negative space is just stunning. You know, the woman that we're looking at, I mean, you know, she isn't seeing us. We're just focused on her. And, you know, is she in anguish? Is she in ecstasy? I'm not sure, but that, you know, the way she's developed that face is beautiful. This too. Gorgeous. And then, you know, with these, each one of these portraits, they show us, you know, not just the personality of the person, but an entire story about that person. Kind of reminds me of Alice Neal, if you're familiar with her. She's amazing. She did put this in. This is a funny sculpture, and I don't necessarily think it should have been in the portfolio. Like I said, you don't have to show us everything, just show us your best. And it doesn't quite go with the other pieces, I feel. So I kind of would have told her to leave this piece out and just show us her portraits. Although it is a cool little sculpture for sure. Those are the colors on this one. And then moving on to the third and last one, I'm showing this one because of the sketchbooks. So a lot of schools will ask for sketchbooks. We don't need to see sketchbooks, and most of the time we don't want to. What we want to see is your final pieces, the ones that you sketched in your sketchbook about, and you did process pieces about, and you thought about so many times, and then, you know, then you made the final piece, this beautiful final piece of artwork. That's what we want to see. However, if you have sketchbooks that look like this, feel free to put it in. You know, this is, you know, it's beautiful. It shows us how, you know, the artist is thinking, and actually the artist sees these as works of art. So if your sketchbook, if your process pieces are works of art in their own mind, in their own right, then absolutely include them. But if they're not, then I would exclude them. So you can see her sketchbooks, and then we start to see just some abstract paintings, you know, just playing around with material, playing around with ink and charcoal, working in collage too. I mean, and they're beautiful abstract paintings. Here she's starting to include, you know, not just, you know, traditional methods, but, you know, using thread and yarn and encaustic. That's pretty cool. They all have this like really beautiful energy to them. But then she starts to like switch it up, starts to do a little bit more collage. Like this one, you can see that really cool landscape in the back. I love this one. I think that's beautiful. I would frame that one for sure. And then we start to get it's different now. Now she's starting to work with imagery and more collage. And I think she starts to see these as mood boards because she is interested in fashion. So she's taking what what she's using and what she's learning in her material studies into her fashion pieces. So a lot of times students want to put so much of their fashion work on one image and really, just keep it, like I said, one, two, three images on each one. So here she has basically two, 2.5. Gives a nice idea on what she's thinking about when she's creating garments. I really like her style. It's very cool. And I feel like I can see, what she's drawing in her pieces in those previous paintings and collages. And then she's starting to, design the actual garment, um, making patterns and thinking about draping. And she made the garment. But I love that it's like for Ariel. I think that's Ariel. um, oh, oh, and the materials below. I think, yeah, so you can see the materials that she used on the bottom of each of these images, if that's what you're asking. But pretty cool. Yeah, adorable. So yeah, she didn't have a lot of time probably or a lot of know-how on how to make like a full garment. So I think starting on dolls is absolutely perfect. She looks stunning. And then she does start to play around with draping. So you can see that they're reconstructed shirts. So she took men's shirts, save cost saving efforts for sure. And then starts to figure out how to create a garment from those materials already. And I think that this is a really great image of a completed garment. I just need to see the front and the back. Like I said previously, keep it simple. Simple is always best. All right, so before I go on any further, I would really like to see if you have any questions about the portfolio or application that I can clear up before we move on to all of the other stuff. So I will give you I will give you a minute to type before I move on. Okay, so I'd like to talk about scholarships now. Scholarships are important. I'm sure that you want them. You want all of them, in fact. So we do have merit scholarships available, but unfortunately, we don't have full tuition scholarships. So I highly recommend you look into outside scholarships now. I can give you a link or a PDF, actually, if you email me. I can give you the PDF of a list of merit scholarships or outside scholarships that you can apply to. Our merit scholarships, though, you don't have to apply to. All you need to do is submit your application and make your portfolio as strong as you possibly can because all admitted students will be considered for merit scholarships. So again, I'm going to reiterate, look into outside scholarships starting like today because it is time consuming. Start Googling everything about yourself in the word scholarship. You never know. There's scholarships for tall people. So I'm sure that there's one for you. Hopefully there are multiple for you and you can use all of them. Okay, so we have a question. I'd like to know something about the artists and how their art evolved. Um, so the students that I showed, the portfolios that I showed, I'm going to go back to them. I unfortunately don't know. Yes, she ended up being a fashion designer. I don't know where she's at exactly, but she went into our fashion program because she was interested in fashion. It's what's great about our program is that you don't have to focus on any one medium, on any one material, or any one, let me go back to the first one, or any one idea or department. Like I said, we want you to be able to explore everything. So this artist, and actually all three artists that I showed, they did explore multiple mediums. So what they're focused in now, I'm not sure. You could Google them. I'm sure that they're probably around. Every artist has a website. or at least a blog or something. But so, Ava Bear, I'm not exactly sure what she took during the program while she was here, but I have a feeling she probably continued to work in two dimension, three dimension, and maybe she explored art and tech too. I can see her exploring a lot of things. So if I was her, I would probably have taken classes in painting and drawing, as well as sculpture and also installation art. I think that, what what you can do at SAIC is so broad and so vast. It's kind of scary and exciting at the same time. If I would not doubt in my mind that she also worked in art and tech. Art and tech is kind of exploding, and if you want to play around with different materials and different mediums, then I would definitely do that. Charlotte Fox, it looks like she's pretty devoted to oil on campus, but I have a feeling she probably also took classes in other departments too. One department, actually, I would probably this artist spent time in is fiber and material studies. It is one of the coolest departments. It's exploring materials. It's very cool. And there's also like weaving, like traditional weaving, as well as new forms of weaving too. We have a very large jacquard loom that you can put in any image, and it will print it out on a big, tapestry, which is super cool. The fashion designer, she did go through the fashion program, but beyond fashion, and we also have industrial design. We call it designed objects, and I see a lot of crossover between designed objects and also ceramics, which is super cool. And students have access to all of the materials and all of the resources that we have. Some of the things, such as the film department, because the equipment is so expensive, you would have to take a class in film to get access to that. But you have access to all of our shops on campus. We have a million 3D printers now. We just got one in the ceramics department, which would be super fun to play with. I really wish I could, but I'm always traveling. But I highly recommend you check that out if you're here. Yeah, the resources are ridiculous on what is available. Like I said, there's the looms, there's the 3D printers, there's welding if you're interested in melting metal, which everyone should be interested in melting metal because it's totally awesome. And then beyond just those resources, we also have the Fashion Resource Center. If anyone is interested in fashion, it's really cool. You can go in and you can look at like Chanel suits up close to see how they've sewn things on. You can check out a Dolce and Gabbana dress to see how they added all of the things. I would say more fashion names, but I'm not very fashionable. But it's an amazing resource. We also have this really cool prints and drawings room in the museum where you can go in and look at. You can hold Cezanne's sketchbook. You just have to wear the little white gloves that you can actually hold it. Sorry, I was totally geeking out about that. Anyway, you do have students interested in fashion design. Our fashion program is so cool because you guys are interested in fashion. I want to talk a little bit more about it then, because Nick Cave, you saw his image, and I'm going to go back to our students' images. What's great about the fashion program is that a lot of our students aren't necessarily making ready-to-wear clothing. They're making wearable sculptures. That's what they're doing. It's so cool. But that being said, we have a lot of students that go into the industry immediately after graduation. Our faculty have a lot of connections with high-end designers, so they have gone directly into the fashion industry. But a lot of them are artists. They're not wanting to put out a ready-to-wear clothing. They're wanting to make one-of-a-kind pieces. So it's up to you what it is that you are really interested in. But whatever you're excited about, we will definitely help you get there. Yeah, I love this fashion portfolio. Some of them can be so sterile. We just see ones that are just too too perfect, too refined. And this one I see like the personality of the student. And that's really what I'm looking for when I review. I want to see the personality of the students. Okay. And yeah, if you have other questions, just pop on in. But I'm going to talk about college credit that you can transfer in. If you have taken AP, IB, Cambridge A levels, or if you did a pre-college program, we can transfer some of those credits in for college credit, up to 12 credits. So that's like a semester off, which is awesome. Save some money. And then deadlines that are coming up. So the early action priority merit scholarship deadline, November 15th. Oh, thank you so much. If you have any questions, my email is right here, or on my last slide right here. So write down my email before you go and email me with any questions that you have. Okay. But again, the deadlines that are coming up, November 15th, that is the early action priority merit scholarship deadline. That's when we have the most money to give. If you do need to wait, if you need to, work on your test score, or if you need to spend some more time on your portfolio, or really anything, you can wait until January 15th. But I would not apply after that because we don't have funds to offer after that. So definitely get it in by January 15th. And any questions? This is it. We've gone through all of the slides. So Alon was supposed to do the presentation, and these are his slides, but I think he chose the ones that that are the best, the most important ones. But I was happy to step in for him. He had some things that he had to do today, so I get to hang out with you. So yeah, I can maybe hang around for another 5-10 minutes or something like that. Otherwise, you can email me. I can also set up just one-on-one Skype. Oh, yes. When you start working on your portfolios, please get in touch with me. Email me, and we can set up a time to chat, or we can just do it through email. I'm happy to do anything. Okay, so I look forward to hearing from you, and have a great day. It's 4th of July weekend or week here, so I'm going to go and watch some fireworks tonight. And I hope I get to see every one of you in the future in person. All right, bye.